Today I am taking a break from my usual van build videos to talk about something that is very important, and that is safety tips for solo women on the road. Obviously, women's safety has been an issue since the beginning of time and basically the birth of man. However, I don't want that to deter women from pursuing their dreams and doing things that they really want to do, like solo travel. Just for a little context, I bought my first van in August of 2020 and built that out with my partner and dog. I ended up traveling in that van full-time for 2 years until we parted ways, and now I am building a new van. But during that time that I was on the road for 2 years, my partner at the time traveled for work a lot, so I was alone a lot, including in Baja, Mexico. So there were definitely things that I learned during that time being solo, and I was in a couple situations that felt dangerous, and looking back, there are definitely things that I could have done better. So that is where the collection of my tips are coming from, and hopefully that provides some good insight. There are, of course, the obvious ones like checking reviews of campsites, being aware of your surroundings, arrive late, leave early, let people know where you are, and make sure you're sharing your location with multiple people. This one is not on my list, but just while it's on my mind, if you are open to having a pet, having a dog definitely allowed me to feel safer and help me sleep at night, because I knew my dog would alert me of an issue before I found out the hard way. But if you're like me and you're not quite ready to take on the responsibility of a pet, hopefully these safety tips will help you in your future travels. The first is a little more obvious but very important. It is to get a AAA membership or to make sure your car insurance offers roadside assistance. I use Roamly to ensure my van builds, and you can get a plan with roadside assistance. Also, pro tip, if you do have a portable power station, I know they're expensive, but you can use them to charge your car's battery if your car dies for some reason, and hopefully you can get it charged enough to get it started and get to assistance. I promise they get less obvious, but the next one is to have pepper spray and various weapons scattered not only throughout your rig, but on your keychain and on your person. The third is something I have not done before, but I plan on doing now before I actually am on the road without a dog, without a partner, completely alone, and that is self-defense lessons. I have heard of other women doing this, and I think it's important for every woman to do, but this can save you when you let your guard down, or you think you're in an area that's safer than it is, or you're just not prepared. The fourth is to keep a key right next to you when you're sleeping. I'm going to share a story about this in a second, but you should also have a spare key that's hidden and quickly accessible. So when I had first moved into the van full time, there was a time where my partner had gone out of town for work, and I was staying in the van alone with my dog. We were still in Atlanta where we had lived at the time, so I was pretty off my guard. I was very familiar with the area. I was very comfortable. I was sleeping without pants on, and I was just so unprepared. It was like 4 a.m. I was in a really deep sleep, and I remember in my dream I just kept hearing this loud banging, and I ended up waking up because my dog just kept barking like crazy, and it woke me up, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So I peeked out of my back window covers, just like crossing my fingers that it was a police officer, and there was no car parked behind me, and I knew it wasn't a cop. So I went to the side window, peeked out of the window cover, didn't see anybody, but I was still like, I'm gonna get out of here. I grabbed my keys. I also wore contacts, and I didn't have my contacts in. I didn't sleep with my glasses next to me. I just got my keys, went to the front seat, and I was like peeking through the front window covers before I pulled them down and started the car. And I was like squinting. It was taking me a second to realize what was happening, and there was a man across the street peeking into like another vehicle. When I had the window cover down and I was like squinting and looking, he looked up and looked back at the van, and we made direct eye contact. And when that happened, he turned around and just started walking really fast towards my driver's seat. I was just so shocked and surprised at what was happening. I was trying to lock the car, but in the ProMaster, it's just a single button. It's not a clear lock and unlock. So I couldn't remember if when the light is lit, if it's locked or not. And I'm just hitting it, and my hand is shaking so bad trying to put the key in the ignition to start the car. He came up to the driver door. I finally got the key in the ignition, started the car, and he jumped in front of the car, and he had something big and black in his hand, and I don't know what it was to this day, but he was just like waving around. He's like pointing at the side door, basically telling me to let him in, and he's like basically blocking me from leaving. And I'm just shaking. I'm just like, I'm driving off whether I hit this guy or not. I'm getting out of here. And I had all my window covers up still. I just had the front one pulled down, and I drove off. He jumped out of the way, and I will never forget that experience. And to this day, when I go to bed at night in the van, I always sleep with my glasses next to me and my keys next to me, and I also keep another set of keys close by to the front of the van in case for some reason I can't access the ones next to me. All of that said, please do not let that deter you from pursuing van life as a solo female, because I promise that was by far the most dangerous encounter I had ever been in. There was one other very scary encounter that I was in, however, it was a misread situation and I wasn't actually in danger. So this was one experience at the beginning of my 2-year journey full-time on the road, including throughout Baja, Mexico. My 5th tip is to keep a man's shoes and or a big dog collar or dog leash in the van, and whenever you get to a location, keep them visible from the outside. Whether you leave them outside the side door or you leave them in front of the window cover in the front, keep them visible so the person coming up to the van thinks that there is a man and or a large dog inside. I have at least 7 more safety tips, but this is where I'm going to end this video and I'll continue in a part 2. But hopefully these tips help you feel more confident and secure about possibly getting on the road and experiencing solo travel and pursuing your dreams as a solo woman. There is plenty more to come, so hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in part 2.